Good morning. Welcome to the live stream. Heidi, what you doing, puppy? Come here. She suddenly thinks that I'm talking about her. Yeah, you go lay down, okay? Good morning. That's my dog, Heidi. Welcome to the live stream. Today is Sunday, October 19th. Usually it's just Heidi, my dog, and I at home together all day long, every day. So if I'm talking, she thinks I'm talking to her. Anyways, my name is Angela. I am a front-end developer and software engineer in St. Paul, Minnesota. And welcome. On this channel, we do HTML, CSS, and JavaScript just for our personal projects. It's not forever. It's not a statement about front-end development and never using libraries or frameworks. It's just that I personally enjoy practicing my vanilla skills. And let's point out the benefits of using vanilla. No frameworks, no Node, no compilers, no package managers, no dependencies. Did I say no compilers? No compilers. All you need is index.html, style.css, maybe a script.js. That's all you need to actually sit down and start building something. So if you enjoy that type of thing, if you just want to level up your own front-end development skills, you're in the right place. That's what we do here. So there's that. Malik Robinson is here. Welcome, Malik. Oh, wait a second here. My overlay isn't working. I try to be prepared. I really, really do. Let's try that now. There we go. Malik Robinson is here, and Monique Robinson are here. Two of the mods, not related, just a coincidence. So make sure that you say hello to the mods. How's everybody doing today? I took the day off yesterday, which I don't have many. I have a short list of reasons for why I would take a day off from streaming, and yesterday was the perfect example. I went to the Minnesota Fiber Festival in Isanti County, Minnesota. And I'm sorry to say that this year was a little bit of a bust. I go every year. This is really I think my fourth year going. And I come home with more than I need. I spend more than I plan to. I didn't spend any money yesterday at the Fiber Festival. It was kind of lackluster. There wasn't that much there. And that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing, because I have a yarn and fiber collection right now that is too big. I don't need more stuff. But I do think it's interesting that I had cash and a budget and I didn't buy anything. And I walked through all of the buildings like 3 times. I mean, there were some good things, but just nothing I needed, nothing that I needed to buy. So it was a little bit of a bust. I don't mind. It's nice to take a day off, get out, drive around. It's like an hour north of where I live, so it was a hike to get up there. I was up there for a couple of hours just walking around, and there was a Target next door, so I popped in and got my shopping done before I came home, so it wasn't all bad. So yeah, unlucky, at least it was fun. Honestly, anytime you don't spend money, it's all good. It's fine. So I think it would be worse if I came home with a bunch of stuff I didn't need. And trust me, I saw some pretty yarn. I saw a merino fleece fresh from a lamb. It was marked down from $65 to $30. It was 5.5 pounds. It hadn't been washed or processed yet. Yes, I do know how to do that, but I don't need any more fleeces to process. I already have like 4 that I haven't touched. So I just couldn't justify buying that merino fleece even at such a good price. So here we are. It's not a bad thing. It's good. And it was nice to get out of the house. So here we are. I'm just 100% going to admit that I'm behind on this project, but I think it's a good problem to have. Here's why. My biggest fear is running out of ideas and running out of things to work on, and I'm not having that problem at all whatsoever. In fact, right now, I would say I'm knuckles deep in 2 projects. This project, and I want to give you like a little sneak peek of what I'm working on as my next big sort of midweek project. It's this site that I called the Lemon Stack. So I gave it like a theme, like a lemon theme. I called this the Lemon Stack. It's a project on how to build a complete 4-page website, including a contact form. So we even have a working contact form here. I wrote JavaScript for validation. I have this hooked up to FormSpree, which is my favorite third-party service. So I thought that this was going to take me a week or 10 days, and now I'm entering week 3 of working on this, and I'm only about halfway done. But I have a lot of this done. Halfway is pretty good. Like the homepage is done, everything is responsive, accessible, the navigation is done, the form is done. I just have to finish building out these 3 pages, and of course I have to get the editing done for this. So this is a really terrific project that I'm excited about, and I think I will have this done in the next 2 weeks. Yeah, so between that and our fiber and craft project, these are the 2 big things that I'm working on. I also need to sit down and plan out the deployment part of fiber and craft, because I did decide that I'm not going to do the deployment during the live stream. I mean, I understand that IP addresses are public. You can find an IP address for any URL. I would still prefer to not be spinning up a droplet on DigitalOcean, exposing the IP address, logging into a fresh server during a live stream. And I certainly don't want to run the risk of accidentally exposing my SSH key. So I think it would be a better move for me to film the deployment part of this offline and include it as a separate video, and also include it as a part of the project video. So it will be posted essentially twice, but it will go through the entire experience of following a DigitalOcean tutorial to set up a LAMP stack, how I configure DNS settings, and how to do the deployment with rsync. That's usually what I use, is rsync. So you can expect to see that. I don't know if it's going to be this week or next week. I'm going to try to do it this week, but it will be a part of this project. And I've said a couple of times that my goal for 2025 is to do a lot more DevOps content on this channel, because I think that DevOps is as important, if not more important, than the HTML, CSS, JavaScript part of what we do. Because what good is all of this work? What good is all of this work on front-end development if you can't deploy it, right? So with that being said, these are the 2 things that I am working on. Not that you all are demanding an explanation, but I like to do little status updates on what I have going on. And like I said, one of the most interesting parts about the last 90 days, because I've essentially been a full-time YouTuber since July 1st, which is when I finished my last big contracting freelancing job. I've just been putting my heart and soul and everything into the channel. It's growing exactly the way that I want it to. Of course, I would love things to go faster, but I am very happy with the growth. I'm happy with the direction things are going in. Thrilled that I've sort of found my lane and the thing that I like to do and the type of videos that I like to create. I love the feedback that I'm getting from people. So I'm very happy with how things are going. And I think it's a great problem to have when you have a million ideas and you're trying to find enough hours in the day to get all those ideas executed. So we have a couple, let's say hello to some folks in the chat. Salman Khan is here. Hi, ma'am. After learning HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, you give me remote internship. Unfortunately, I cannot give you a remote internship. I haven't been asked that question in a while. Thank you for watching. I appreciate having you here and having you in the chat. I can't give you a job. Excuse me, one moment here. I have a runny nose. I have allergies. I don't mind being asked this question, and I haven't been asked it for a while. I think this is a good time to remind people because I do have a sizable international audience. I can't give you a job, I can't help you find clients, and I can't give you a remote internship. So unfortunately, I'm not able to do that for you, but thank you for subscribing and thank you for your engagement in the chat. I appreciate it. And if you haven't liked the video yet and you feel inclined to do so, I would appreciate it. Helps the algorithm, helps me push this out to more people. I do have something else that I would like to do, but I would like to wait a little bit here and see if we get a few more people watching before I do it. So let's jump in and actually do some stuff. I want to talk about channel memberships, but I want to see if a few more people join the stream later on today before I talk about them, because I have some ideas for channel memberships and I want to wait and see if more people are here and can give me some like real-time feedback. So with that being said, yes, I am a little bit behind on this particular project, like just in terms of content and images, but we are not short on things to do here today. So we're going to dive back into the CSS, and we have not done our footer yet either. So, and let's see here. Oh, David Scola is here. Good morning. I recently found your channel. Thank you for the wholesome and educational content. Greetings from Italy. Yes, I appreciate that. I do attempt to keep it clean on this channel. And it's not because I'm not afraid to use certain words offline, because I definitely am. I do think that there's a little bit of a culture on YouTube, especially in dev content, that is maybe could be slightly more positive. So that was really my goal. I think wholesome is a lovely compliment. So thank you. Is it David or David? You're from Italy. So thank you. I'm going to go with David if that's okay. Let me know if I should pronounce that differently. And thank you for subscribing and thank you for your kind words. I appreciate it. Okay, Angela, focus. Oh, I do have one other thing that I want to point out, which is I did start working on content. So of course I write everything down in a notebook because that's just how I roll. I went through every single section and sort of identified what currently exists. And I am in the process of figuring out how I want to replace it, which I think is an interesting time to point out that there are two methods for creating content for a website. And if you're a front-end developer who says, oh, I don't really want to deal with this content part of things, you do definitely need to deal with it, especially if you're going to do any kind of freelancing. Your clients are going to expect you to guide you through this content process. If you leave it up to them, especially a client who's never been through this before, you may not ever get this project deployed. So think carefully about the approach that you want to take with content and your front-end projects. In the past, my method of dealing with content tends to be I need that content first. It's very difficult for me to build anything or design anything around nothing. So if I don't know what the messaging is, I don't know what the clients are trying to communicate to their clients, if a client doesn't really know what their mission is or their purpose or who their users are, it can be very difficult to do front-end work for clients like that. This is a situation where we very much took a pre-made layout, a pre-made design, and now I'm coming up with content that fits into these categories. And I'll be perfectly honest, I knew I was doing this, but I didn't put a lot of thought into it. I just mostly said, oh, I want to show people that you can clone another website if you're running out of ideas. And if you're here to just learn how to clone a website, disregard this. But if you're here to learn how to get other ideas for actual projects, this is an important part of it. So don't overcomplicate it. All I did was sit down and write down the parts of the website that I know exist. I know this is backwards right now, so you'll just have to trust me. Like, I wrote down the top banner, the navigation, the slider, what's in the slider. We have a headline, we have a line of text, we have a call to action. What are those things supposed to say? What is the description supposed to be? What is that call to action supposed to do? Does it really need, does it go to another page on your site? Does it go to one of your social media channels? So these are the things that I'm in the process of sorting through, and I have some good ideas of what I want these things to link to. I have some good ideas of things that I may not include for phase one of this project. And it's kind of forcing me to be really creative about, well, what do I want my messaging to be for this project? So just to give you an idea of some things that I'm thinking about and the process that I'm going through. And 100% I underestimated this part of the project. As usual, there's always parts of things that I'm underestimating, and this is one of them. So, tell me if my audio is loud enough, because I'm worried that it might not be. So please let me know and I can turn it up a bit. Or it could just be that it's normal right now because I finally got it to a place where it's not blowing things out. So, okay, here we go. So we pretty much have everything styled up until this point. Let's go ahead and style this, and I'm just going to style things as they're laid out here. I'm not fully sure how I'm going to treat this section for myself. I'm sure I can find something to put in here, like a project, or maybe I could put in here like a pattern review, right? Like my favorite pattern or something like that. Yeah, that might be a really good idea. So, well, at any rate, let's go ahead and get started. Just working away at styling. And then depending on how far we get today, we do need to build out this footer. The footer, last weekend I was thinking that I don't want to build out this footer. I want to build out a simpler footer. And that's as far as I got thinking about that. So I might do something just really simple, like a copyright statement, the logo, some social media icons. I just don't think that I need all of this. I'm also in a place right now where I'm like, this is a landing page, and I don't think I have other things that I need to promote or call out or link out to. I'm just not at a phase with this side project where I need to do that. So let's just create a footer today with our logo, a copyright statement, and the social media icons. We don't need to build all of this out because I just don't need this for this page right now. So, and I think also that we have plenty of examples in past projects building out footers that look like this. So it's not like we're short on examples of how to do that type of front end work. We're not. We're making decisions. I love it. Okay, so here's the testimonial. Oh, whoops. Okay, good. Thank you, Malik. Yeah, let me know if we need to turn up the volume. So, okay, so we have a full width section. Clearly this is in a wrapper and our image is off to the right. So let's start with that. And I'm just going to call this testimonial. I'm pretty sure this is going to be like featured pattern or pattern review. Wholesome. Somebody called me wholesome. You don't know how good that makes me feel. Okay, so we're already in a wrap. Let's make sure. Yep, we're in a wrap. And this is the block post, the block quote, and the figure. And those are our stars. So testimonial wrap. And I'm going to do display grid because I am just in love with grid. So easy. And then what do we think? I think this is 50-50. So I'm just going to do, we'll see how it looks. And we'll give this some gap. And I'm going to give it a gap of, yeah. Oh, and then we need a background color. So we could use our tan color. We do have a tan. Should we try tan as our background color? Let's do it. Oh, but if we use tan as our background color, let's double check the contrast with black text. We know the contrast with white text is large only, which is 24 pixels. But I think we could do large text here. And large text still counts for buttons, so we don't need to make this a link. We could just make this a button. And we can make sure this is all large. Yeah, we'll check the, I have another method for accessibility checking, which I'm also going to test. So testimonial, do a background color of tan. And we'll make the color white. And let's make the font size large text. Oops. That works. And let's make sure you have some padding. What are we giving the padding on other things? 2 rems of padding. Yeah. And then let's make this a white button. Here's our text. I'm going to collapse that for now. Button, and I think the default is, there we go. And then let's take out that SVG. That works. And our stars can be any color. We'll just, I guess we'll just make them white. I have to be honest, I think this is an incredibly boring section. Design-wise, I think I can do better. But if we're just here to get it styled, maybe maybe we don't need to worry about it. So maybe that's just one of those things that we need to improve upon here in the next phase. And for now, it's just about getting this styled. So let's go ahead and do our stars. And For this, I am going to do display flex. Flex flow is row no wrap. Justify content center, align items, center, and gap. Let's try 0.5 rems. There we go. Oh, we probably want this to be, justify content should be flex start. And let's do stars SVG, and pretty sure that's a fill, not a stroke. We'll make those white. There we go. Here's our block quote. So the browser gives block quotes a ton of margin by default. So I'm going to put that up with our global styles right here. Margin 0. So we've got the block quote, the stars, the citation. The citation is technically, pretty sure it's display inline. This is display inline by default. This is getting display. So this is getting display block because it's a div. The paragraph is also display block. So this is getting its own line. So let's also make citations display block by default. There we go. And then, so this is all aligning towards the top. It also has this quote, which we could go grab a quote, an SVG. I know you can do that with a pseudo class, but I'm going to do this instead. Quote. Maybe we do want to do just a character. HTML characters. Punctuation. Yeah, we've done this before. Right. I'm going to do this. So we'll do the HTML code right here. So I'm going to put this instead of paragraph tags inside the block quote. Yeah, and then we can just size that. I'm going to call this the quote icon. I'm going to do an underscore. I think we can just give this a font size of, I don't know, I think this has a ton of line height, so we'll probably want to take that off. Yep, just like that. There, that looks pretty good. Maybe 2 rems on the bottom. All right. And then what I kind of want to do is on this block class, I kind of just want to do this. Block, display flex direction, column, just so I can give it some gap without having to give every single thing margin, just like that. Oh. And then to make this responsive, it would be the testimonial wrap. Oh, we need to style this image for sure. So let's style the image first. Whoops. Here, not going to worry about this. Okay, so the image, let's style that image. So so by default, the alignment is flex, pretty sure. Yeah, because this container stretches all the way to the top and bottom. So let's make sure. So the figure is already stretching all the way to the top and bottom. I don't think we need to give the, we're not setting an aspect ratio. I don't think we need to do anything to this figure. We just need to make sure the image is filling the entire container. So testimonial image. With 100% height, 100% object fit, cover. Beautiful. So now that image beautiful. That's exactly what I wanted. and it gives us a lot more room before we have to go into mobile. So I think 960 is a good. So I think we should make this mobile at 960. And I don't think, you know what? I'm going to leave the margin on the wrap. We don't need to mess with that. It looks fine. So I don't think there's anything here I need to do differently. So the testimonial wrap, we'll do a media query. And we don't need that. Let's do that. And probably yeah, that works. And I'm not going to reduce the text size. I really can't reduce the text size. It wouldn't be accessible. But I think that's okay. I think that's okay. So let's... That's about how this would look on mobile. It fits. Everything fits right into the window. We've got accessible font size. I'm good with that. I'm good with that. Yeah. I think this will be a good section for like a pattern review. Yeah. Yeah, I already have patterns in mind. Let's see here. No one is here. Good morning, no one. Welcome. We are happy to have you. Okay. So let's keep going. Let's keep going. Let's do our Instagram grid. Excuse me. I need a drink of something. All right. So next we want to do our Instagram grid. Not an actual API feed, static images. So again, this is in a wrap, and I'm also going to use CSS Grid for this. And the wrap is the container. So I'm going to say display grid. Grid template columns. What do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we'll say repeat 6, 1 FR, and I'll give this a gap of 1 rem. And then let's update the aspect ratio of the figure. Oh, not right there, right here. So this would be Instagram figure. And width 100%, height auto, aspect ratio, we'll just say 1, so it's a nice square. And then Instagram image will be width 100%, height 100%, and object fit cover. There we go. Nice little squares. So let's make sure that we have, so this has a white background. Let's make sure that we have some space, some padding. And we'll do 2 rems on the top and bottom, 0 on the left and right. And then let's just text align center to get our heading centered. The CSS just practically writes itself. Okay, let's make this responsive. I want this to be a 2x3 on mobile. So I think once we get down to 960, yeah, right around there, we can go and switch that to a 2x3. So that's the Instagram wrap, and we'll tighten up that gap also for mobile. Look at us, we're just flying through it today. Love this. Love the flow state. We don't need that. So I'm going to change that to 3, and I'm going to change the gap to 0.5. There we are. All right, now let's do our About Us section. So this has this is like an orangey red background. I'm gonna do the maroon background. Yeah. And then we'll do a very simple footer. So this is the About Us section. This also has a wrap. And it has our logo. Give this a little padding. Give this a background color of maroon. And we'll make the text color white. I don't know if I think I'm gonna do navy. I don't think I like this maroon as a background color. We can keep going. I'm not loving it. It looks very well, I was gonna say orangey, but it got color picked directly from this image, this orange yarn in the image. So that's why it looks orangey. Let's try navy. Yeah, I like that a lot better. And navy and tan go together. So if these are in the same window together, I will always prefer cool tones over warm tones. Always. So let's do About Us SVG. And so we have a bunch of global styles for our SVGs. And this particular SVG, which is right, oh, you can't see it at all because my giant head is in the way. So the SVG is right here where my cursor is, but it's tiny because it's getting all of those global styles. So I'm pretty sure that this is a fill, not a stroke. So we'll make that white, and then we'll update the width. Let's try 350 pixels. So we'll need a max width of 100%, and then we'll just say height auto. And then we'll also do margin 0 auto. Yeah, that looks good. And that should be nice and responsive too. I like that navy so much better, but there, that logo is nice and responsive now. And then we can also do text align, center, and then we have a call to action here. Let's add our arrow SVG. Oh, I guess we do a button. I guess they're doing a button here. So we could do a button too. There we go. So we've got, there's our logo, there's our heading, paragraph. So let's give our paragraphs in this section some margin. Yeah. And let's see how this holds up on mobile. There's really not a lot to do for mobile. Everything should scale. We might want to just cut down on some of this margin. This would probably be a great time to clamp the margin, which we don't do often enough. So I think on mobile we could go 1 and then maybe 2.5 viewport width for that middle, and then 2 for desktop. I know there's like a formula for this that already looks better, but I tend to guess. Yeah, that works. That works really well. That works really well. Oh, and look at what we have going on up here, which this is a pretty small size to have to support, but let's make sure that our stars, our SVGs up here, are responsive. Everything else is. So let's make sure that those little stars are also responding, because right now it's just width and height. I don't want to put a max width on the global styles, but we can definitely do that for our testimonial right here. So let's just do max width 100%, and that should take care of that. So we should see those. There we go. Look at that. Look at those little stars. So now we're not overflowing. Yeah, perfect. Perfect. Look at that. So cute. We're really flying through things here today. Okay, let's do a footer. Let's do a footer. And let's see here. No one says any web design resources or books you'd recommend. Well, actually, yes. Hang on, let me go grab it. Hold please, I'll go grab it. Okay. I know that I've talked about some of these books before. Sorry, they're backwards. Murach's HTML and CSS3. You know what? It's going to be better to just pull them up online. That's going to be better. Probably could have saved myself a trip to the bookshelf. Murach's HTML5. This book is one of my favorite books for web design and development. It is so well written. I highly recommend this. Yeah, I really love it. It's a great book. It's easy to read. The instructions, like the step-by-step guide, it explains things really well. Another book is, well, another author is this guy, Steve Krug. And these books are about usability. And these books are like, they're old. They're more than a decade old, but they're really good. And I have both of them. Rocket Surgery Made Easy and Don't Make Me Think. I think that this is the revisited. These are about usability. These are excellent. Really, really good. So love Steve Krug. I've heard that, now I own this book for Kindle and I haven't read it yet. The Design of Everyday Things. This is also, I heard, a really great book. Yeah, we love Steve Krug. And then this book is a little bit obscure, but if you're into content, and this is not specifically web design related. I took this when I was in school I have an MS in technical communication, and I had to take a class about rhetoric and rhetorical theory. And I'm just saying that this is one of the best textbooks I have ever read. It's not going to be for everybody, but it's called The History and Theory of Rhetoric. This is what it looks like. Let's see if they have it here. The History and Theory of Rhetoric. Oh, yeah, it's a textbook, so it's expensive. You could probably get a used copy. Like, yeah. This is the version that I have. I don't know to tell you. Oh, it's expensive. It's technically a graduate level textbook. I have to tell you, it's just a really good book. It's one of my favorite textbooks that I had. I just had a really wonderful, positive experience when I was getting my master's in technical communication. A lot of the books that I read in that program were really good. This was one of my favorite. It was just, it spoke to me. I don't know. So, And Edwin is here and he says, hello, question, will you upload it to the GitHub repository? Do you mean the current project that we're working on? I can go ahead and do a git push now. There is a link to the Git repository for this project down in the description, but I can go ahead and push now. And that's actually, we can do a little QA while we do that. So no one, I hope that answers your question. Layout and styles. Okay, so while that is pushing, I have something that I would like to do related to memberships. So the first members only live stream is going to be on next week on Tuesday, October 28th. And my plan is that I'm going to do a members only live stream every 2 weeks. So we're going to do it every other Tuesday, and I will probably alternate between morning and afternoon to try and cover like the international audience or people who may be working. I really want to start building up members only content, and the type of content that I would like to do is code reviews. So I would like to do code reviews for members. And if I don't have any members who want to do code reviews, because there's only one member right now, which is totally fine. If I don't have any members who want a code review, my plan is to start doing code reviews of government sites. And I'm going to start with local government. Just to give you an example, I live in St. Paul, Minnesota. Gov website. Here we go, stpaul.gov. So I live in St. Paul, Minnesota. So we're going to start with a code review of stpaul.gov. St. Paul, Minnesota is in Ramsey County, Minnesota. Then we're going to do the Ramsey County, Minnesota.gov websites. And so if you've ever seen any of my code reviews, it's not about like tearing a site down, pulling apart the people who did the hard work. It's just about taking a look under the hood, checking to see if it's accessible, if it's got good SEO hierarchy, if it's what else am I thinking? I'm mostly thinking about accessibility, responsiveness, SEO, things like that. It's not really about being critical of a design or being critical of the people who did the hard work in order to build the websites. It's just about going out and looking around and seeing how other sites are built. What can we learn from it? What are they doing that we think they could improve on? That's all it really is. And it's definitely not a design critique because design is so subjective. I really mostly care about accessibility, responsiveness, and SEO. So that's the type of content I really want to start building up. So with that in mind, here's a couple things about memberships. Right now, I only have 2 members. Well, Malik says he's joining on the 27th, so I can remember when the streams will be. And no one says, thanks a lot for your suggestion. Perplexity AI recommended Don't Make Me Think Too, but I thought it was an old book. Now I am definitely going to read it. It still applies. Steve Krug, it still applies. So, I mean, I would be curious. I think you should read it and you let me know if you think it still applies. I would like to know your opinion on that. And Edwin is saying thank you. You're welcome. So here's what I would like to do. Because I only have 1 member and I don't want to pressure people into joining the memberships. I want to give people a reason to join. And I also want to start building content for the memberships, which is why I'm going to do the government sites if we don't really have people who are joining. I'm just trying to build up a library. So here's what I'm going to start doing. Hang on, let me get to it here. Here's what I'm going to start doing. I'm going to start gifting memberships every single month. Hang on. Membership gifting. So here's what I'm going to do. Oh, look at this. I didn't know I could do this. So YouTube lets me gift memberships. Hang on, let me read this. Send gift memberships to viewers. The gift memberships you send will be publicly announced. Lucky recipients selected by YouTube get 1 month of access. Send gift memberships free of charge. I had no idea that YouTube was letting me do this. I didn't know that YouTube let me do this for free. I was prepared to pay for it, but I'm going to start gifting memberships every month just because I want to give people a reason to join. They don't automatically renew. And in order to be eligible for a membership, you have to turn the option on. You have to be subscribed and you have to actually be watching during the live stream, and people in the chat get prioritized. So I'm going to send 5 now and we'll see who gets gifted a membership. I should be able to see it. Idris, Almost an Engineer, Lucas, PacMax, and Artie and Trees all got gifted memberships. Okay, let's see here. I'm going to do 5 more. All right, and it got posted in the chat here who got gifted. So let's see. I don't know if I'm going to be able to pronounce all of the name. Turisma, Crispus, Polyhype, Knowledge Hub, Mihan, Kataria, and Helix all got gifted a membership, along with Artie and Trees, PacMax, Lucas Henricus, Almost an Engineer, and Idris all got gifted memberships. So hopefully you can join us on the 28th next week on Tuesday, so you can hang out. I'm happy to do a code review for anybody who wants one. Otherwise, I'm just going to pick a handful of sites that we can start doing code reviews on, just to sort of come up with our own method for what we think a good method of code reviews is, which I haven't really formalized what that structure is. So I need to make a note for myself to sit down and make like a QA spreadsheet or guidelines, something where we can just say, like, this is a data-driven thing. What does the SEO structure look like? What does the accessibility look like? What does the responsiveness look like? What can we learn from that? And what can we what could we suggest that they could be doing better? And it's not about like picking apart the humans who make that website or making them feel bad about their expertise or their hard work. It's just about learning. So yes, congratulations to everybody. So hopefully you all can join us next week on the 28th. I'll go ahead and get that scheduled soon. And if nobody shows up, I'm just going to do a members only stream regardless. And I'm just going to start doing QA to start building up that library of content for this channel. So, and I'm going to do that every month. I had no idea that YouTube let me do that for free. I thought I had to pay for it. So I'm kind of surprised when I went to go do it that they were just like, oh yeah, you can do 10 every month. So I'm going to do that every month. I'm going to use those up because why not? So there's that. Okay. Well, that was my big announcement for today. Getting more people into the memberships so we can do code reviews. Hopefully you all can hang out with us when we do that. Okay. So Now, what do we need to do next? I think that we need to work on this footer. I think we need to work on this footer. So let's just keep it kind of simple. We'll do a paragraph. I'm going to give this a class of copyright in case we need to style it. And then I'm going to do a span with an ID of date so we can put in a dynamic date. And then I'm going to do copyright. And we'll put in a copyright symbol. So copyright date, copyright symbol date, and then I'm going to put my name. And then let's do the social media icons in the middle. So we'll make a copy of our social media icons, which is, let's collapse this. We'll do this. There we go. And then let's do a, oh yeah, we're going to work on this next. You're going to love it. Back to top. I just learned how to do this week. So, well, actually this is going to be a link. And then we're going to put hashtag top. And then we're going to put an ID on the body that says top. So now, if we click back to top, it jumps back to top. But we can do some smooth scrolling. So on the HTML, we can say, what is it? Scroll behavior, smooth. I think that's all it is. So in the old days, we had to write jQuery or JavaScript. I used to write jQuery to do this, but now watch. Now we have smooth scrolling. And since this is a one-page website, we're going to add smooth scrolling to all of these navigation items. So let's do that now. So here's our navigation. So let's kind of talk through what each of these things is even going to be. I'm going to make a list. So these are the nav items. So we don't need to scroll to the slider. So this would be like our categories. This is going to be, I'm going to call this top yarns actually. So we'll say top yarns. Whoops, yarns, not yearns. This is going to be, we'll call this featured. I'm going to call this links. I'm going to call this favorites because my plan for this section is that I was going to feature my favorite Instagram accounts. So I'm just going to do favorites. And then I'm going to say pattern. And then this is Instagram, this is about us, and this is the footer. We could do about us. So that would give us 7 links. These are the 7 links we're going to put in the navigation then. So let me put this over here. So this would be categories, and this would be a hashtag categories. I'm going to call this top yarns. Oops. Top yarns. This would be featured. This would be links. This would be favorites. This would be patterns. And then we need one more. This is about us. And it's never full, the about us is never fully going to scroll all the way to the top. It can't scroll bigger than the page itself, but if somebody clicks that link, it'll at least scroll to the bottom of the page. So we're gonna test it out here. So about us. So now we have to add these IDs to these sections. So here's the card section. This is going to be ID equals categories. This is the ID equals top yarns. This is the full width, which I think is featured. So this is ID equals featured. Here's the links. ID equals links. This is the favorites. Whoops. This is the patterns. So this is ID equals patterns. And then this is about us. Okay, so in theory, come on, up, there we go. Okay, so we should be able to scroll now to each section. What do we think? So we have some styling to do because it automatically scrolls to the top, which kind of puts it underneath. For a couple of these it's okay because there's enough padding. So this doesn't have, probably the best way to fix this is just to make sure that we have some more padding on these sections. And then we would want to add, probably be a good idea to add a heading and some padding to these card sections. Because it really is kind of okay for everything else. It just needs more padding and it'll be fine. And then that's why I put the back to top link down in the footer. So now we have a way to get back to the top. Just like that. Yeah, it is really cool, isn't it? Back in the day, you had to write jQuery to deal with this type of scrolling. Now it's native to HTML or to CSS, which I just think is wild. Yeah, so let's do that. Let's add a little bit of, let's add some padding to this to all of the sections. Well, let's add padding to all of the sections first, just to make sure that that actually is going to work. So let's do 4 cards first. So that is a lot more padding now. That's kind of perfect. Yeah. So for featured, yeah, I guess we can just add more padding to featured, right? That's the full width. Although that it doesn't really have, it already has 4 rems of padding. Maybe it's fine. I mean, it doesn't really cover anything up there, right? Maybe this one's fine. Because this section doesn't really have padding. I kind of like it like that. So I think this is fine, because you still see everything that's happening inside there. So let's just give some more padding to our links section. And Edwin is saying, yes, Edwin, we are going to add a slider to the home banner. We just haven't gotten that far yet, but yes, we're gonna make a vanilla JavaScript slider next weekend. That's on the list for next weekend. So stay tuned for that. Okay, so if we go back to featured, now we go to links. Yeah. And then this also has the extra padding. So I think this one, that's our favorites. Beautiful. So we'll give a little extra padding. We're going to have to adjust that padding for mobile. Perfect. I'm not worried about the padding for About Us, because this is never going to scroll all the way to the top. I don't think we need an Instagram link in the navigation. So let's add a title and some padding to our category section, which means that we can change this from a div to a section, because we will give this container a heading. So yeah, let's do that. So it has a wrap. So we'll just do, and let's see here. These are all H3s already. Secondary heading. And I'm going to call this categories for now, but I might come up with a more clever title later. Well, I could just say knitting fiber categories. Fiber categories. Yeah. Okay, so we just have to adjust some of the padding in the margin. Navigation. Okay. Let's clean some of this up. I'm going to keep that for now. this getting space from? Oh, from that? So we'll do card section, padding for rems on the top and bottom, 0 on the left and right, text align center to center our heading. So that has, there's the padding for that. Oh, the wrap has margin. Yeah. This H2 is outside of this wrap. But this heading is inside of the wrap. And there's a reason for that. So we may also want to give, the wrap is there, plus the H2 has margin. Plus this wrap has 2 rems. We may just want to give extra margin just to that heading. Yeah. This heading inside this card section just needs extra margin because it's outside of the wrap container. And I think we have one more that is going to need the same thing, which is completely fine. That's why you do global styles, and that's why you still sometimes need some specificity in order to make some styles more specific, right? I mean, that's obvious the way I just said that, but yeah. That looks good. This one also needs more margin because I bet it's sitting outside the wrap. That looks good. That looks good. So let's fix the margin on our H2 just for this link section. How easy is this? How simple is this? Yeah. So the H2 is sitting outside the wrap container, which is what we want. I would rather adjust the font size on a section by section basis than adding more divs or more containers. To me, that makes sense. To me, that makes sense. It might not, you might have a different approach. This is my approach. So we'll do links. Secondary heading. Margin, 2 rems. Yeah, a little more. Perfect. I love it. It does add a hash tag to the URL. I think that's fine. It does mean you can create links based on those hashtags. So if you were to link to a site like this, or you had a landing page with different hash values for different points of the page, you could link to a page and have the page scroll directly to that spot. We did that all the time at my last job. Let's zoom in a little bit and see what this looks like. So I think this would be kind of a more traditional laptop experience. So we've got categories, top yarns, featured, links. These are going to be my favorite Instagram accounts. This is going to be kind of like pattern reviews. I might put a little more padding in here, and then about us. And I'm not going to change anything for about us because that's never going to scroll all the way up. So that is just fine. So let's style this footer. And Rizzy G is here today. Welcome, Rizzy. The project is going well. How are you doing? Happy to have you. By the way, if you're watching right now and you haven't liked the video yet, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't yet. I'm here every Saturday and Sunday for the most part. I wasn't here yesterday, but I'm usually here. And we're just doing front end, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, just like this. If you're into that type of thing, we'd love to have you. Okay, so for our footer, I'm going to do, for the footer, I'm going to do Flexbox. Because that doesn't, so here's what I'm learning about the difference between Flexbox and grid. Grid is when you need equal columns and you don't want to have to specify what those widths are. You just want the browser to do it for you. Flexbox is when you want something arranged in a pattern or in rows or grids, and you don't want the columns to all be equal. You only want them to be as wide as their container unless you specify it. That's how I'm interpreting the difference, and that's how I'm using it. So this is a perfect example of how I don't want Flexbox to specify what those grids are. One moment, I need to close my window. Give me one moment. All right. It's a beautiful day. I have the windows open, but I did finally have to draw the line at some of the kids playing outside. So, okay. So let's go ahead and do display. Well, we probably do need to put this inside of a wrap, don't we? Yeah, we do. So let's do footer, wrap. I'm going to do display flex, flex flow, row, no wrap. And we're going to say justify content space between align items center, just like that. They're a little off kilter because I'm not defining a width. So let's, well, first of all, before we start messing with the evenness, let's actually get a date in here. So I'm just going to say const date, whoops, date. Oh my gosh, Angela. Document, query selector, date. And we'll get the year, which is new date, and get full year. So if date, then year dot text, I think it's just or content year, isn't it content text content? It's not inner, I don't want to do inner HTML. Oh gosh darn it. Text content, isn't that what it is? Equals, no, date equals. There we go. I had it backwards. So the date equals text content year. That was painful for all of us. There we go. There's our year. So as I really don't want to define a width, it's just going to be a little off kilter. I'm just far too lazy to do a width. That's why I'm looking for ways to make this look even without doing anything. Yeah, I'm just going to do that. Yeah, it's a little off kilter, isn't it? I'm going to have to. Okay. I'm forced. So the width of the copyright is 147.59. The width of the social nav is 160. So let's just give each of these paragraphs a width. So I'm just going to say width 150 pixels, max width, even though it probably would never be small enough to matter, 100%, and then that'll even that out. Yeah, so now it's nice and even. technically this last paragraph isn't going to be right justified. Oh, last of type. Text align, right. There we go. If there's an easier way to do that, let me know. That's not that big of a deal though. But these do look better when they're centered. So there's our footer. Let's make sure that that is responsive. So at media, oops, max width probably. I mean, this holds up pretty well till maybe 600. I'm going to change the flex direction to column. We'll make sure that everything has a gap. I'll make sure it's 0 gap on desktop. And we might as well make it text align center. And then let's make sure our footer has a little bit of padding. I'm just going to give it 1 rem of padding. And how does this look on desktop? I don't think we need that much padding on desktop. Whoops. Just on mobile. There we go. And we have a lot of padding to tighten up for mobile since we added so much for that navigation. But let's at least test this and see how it works. I mean, it's perfect. It's perfect for mobile, which means that mobile has a lot of padding that we don't want. I might have to think about that. We have a lot of refining that we need to do for mobile, like for this header. And I think I've already decided for this header that, well, first of all, it's a it's a landing page for knitting and crocheting. So do I need my LinkedIn and my GitHub? Probably not. I think I'm going to take out, I'm only going to leave in the Instagram. Yeah, I think I'm only going to leave in the Instagram. That's going to kind of solve this problem of this awkward menu icon. We also need to make sure that on scroll, we're adjusting the height for our banner. Let's do this now. No time like the present. No time like the present, which means, do we need social media icons in the footer if we're only going to, I mean, I could put all of my personal social media icons in the footer and just have Instagram in the header. There's no rule that says they have to be the same, they have to match. And I do think it's kind of an old technique that you stuff a header with lots of social media icons. I don't think that people do that as much these days. Yeah. So I'm going to take out GitHub and LinkedIn and just leave Instagram in the header. And then I think I'm actually thinking I might add more social media icons to the footer. That instantly improves what's happening here in the header. But let's refine some of these header styles. Let's just do this now. The other thing that happened this past week rather, is that, okay, tell me if you can relate to this. You're trying to do something. You try every way you can think of to do it. Like, you have gone through every way to achieve something, get something to work a special way. And you feel like you've tried it isn't just that you've tried everything, it's that you've tried everything at least 5 times and it doesn't work. And then a week or a month goes by and you go back to it and suddenly you try something and it instantly works. That's the experience I'm having right now with this navigation. So when you close the navigation, it just closes. There's no transition. I feel like I have tried every method in the book to animate closing the navigation. Apparently, I was wrong. I don't know how I didn't try this. I don't know how I didn't get this to work, but let me show you how I finally got it to work. We can, in fact, animate closing the navigation. So here's our navigation. Here's the mobile styles. So here's that drawer. Here's the transition. We're transitioning the transform. All we have to do is transition the visibility. So I'm just going to add all. I had to have tried that. How did I not try that? How did I simply not try animating the visibility? I don't know. So now we animate in both directions. Am I losing my mind? How did I not try that? Because I've been saying for a couple of months now, oh, you actually can't animate closing the animation. Of course you can. So I don't know how I didn't try that. I don't know how I didn't figure that out. Also, I'm going to take out the opacity part of this. We don't need that. We just need the visibility. And I'm going to take out that. I'm going to do it there. So there we go. I don't know how I didn't try that. How did I not know that? How did I not ever get that to work before? So this instantly fixed this. Look how much better this looks. I would like to make sure, because we have some natural space from the button over here on the right, I would like to make sure that we have space on the left as well. So I changed the padding to 0.25 on the left and right. So let's update this, line 331. Well, first of all, if I don't change the padding at all, what happens? What does it do? How does it look? You can tell that there is a lot more on this side, and that's because we have all that padding from the button until it's transforming or the background's changing. So I mean, we could just okay, so let's do this. So it's top, right, bottom, left. So let's do 0. Top, 0.25, 0.5 rems, 0.5 rems. And then maybe on the left, we just give it a little bump. How does that look? That looks even. That looks even. And we're now comfortably supported well below 300 pixels, but let's make sure. Let's give yeah, that's got 0.25 rems of margin. So let's take out this margin on the open button. I remember putting that in there, and then let's just give everything a little bit of gap instead. So this is line 351. So I'm going to take that out. Oh, actually, we need to take all the margin off of this then. Yep. And then let's give this nav container. Let's just give this a little bit of gap. There. That finally looks balanced. This finally looks balanced to me, because I really don't want to compromise. We can't compromise on the size of these buttons. This we just need to adjust a little bit. Yeah, I remember this. So our SVG is 28 by 28. Let's get this. This math isn't mathing. So let's get this doing what it should. So if we do 1 point, I think I made this a little bit bigger. Because the spacing around this was kind of weird. So if we do, where's my, let's see here. So basically we want it to be 3 rems by 3 rems. So 3 minus 1.75 is 1.25. Divided by 2 is 0.625. So 0.625. There we go, 48 by 48. Oh, and we had that margin in to push it over. Okay, we're so close. Okay. Top, right, bottom, left. Top, right, bottom, left. There. I love it. Okay, now let's fix our scroll. So if our text at the top scrolls to 2 lines, which we'll say for the sake of argument that 2 lines, it's never going to be more than 2 lines. We just need to measure now how big our banner is. So this is 301, 48 actually, 301 wide by 48 pixels tall. So where's our scroll? So 251. So we just have to adjust this. So scrolled. So when does that start to wrap? So that starts to wrap for what's the best way to deal with this? So the best way to deal with this, instead of relying on just this pixel value when things happen to start wrapping based on the length of the word, I think the best way to deal with this is to pick a width, and in the banner, this call to action is already display inline block. I mean, we should just break this and make it display block. So it falls to the second line, and then we can decide for ourselves at which width, so we know how to do that scroll height. And we have styles for banner, anchor link. So here's banner. So let's say 550. So I'm going to do at media, max width, 550 pixels, banner, anchor, display block, and although it's always going to be display block, then it's never going to wrap. So that's not really going to work, is it? Yeah, maybe we do just need to, well, it's not dynamic content, so it's not going to change unless I change it. Let's just say we'll do a media query of 450. Yeah, we'll just do a media query of 450. Mm-hmm. And we're going to change this top value. Oh, whoops. We'll see if it works. And what did we say it was? 48? It's at 451, that's why. There we go. Gosh darn it. Okay, 451 it is. There we go. You know what? Why aren't I just giving it a height and doing that? Why aren't I just doing that? There's nothing wrong with that. Height. Oh, but I don't want to do the height of the header. I just want to do the height of the banner. I can't do 451. I just can't do it. Well, it's 4 pixels. Let it go, Angela. It's 4 pixels. I do feel like... Yeah, that changed because we changed the line height. So that's 28 now. Yeah, so we'll change this. There we go. Okay, I can live with that. This is an improvement. So let's definitely go ahead and push this and take a look on an actual mobile device. So we'll do that right now. Header styles for mobile. All right, we'll let this percolate up to our repository. We'll give this a minute here. Here's our homepage clone. Oh, I think this is a reaction to me. I don't know. When I tell you that I've spent literal weeks feeling like I'm trying to understand how to get that drawer to navigate when it closes, and then all of a sudden I changed it from transitioning the transform and the visibility, and suddenly it worked. I was like, really? I didn't try that? How did I not try that? I was absolutely sure that I tried that. So I've built so many websites and admin panels, but sometimes I still forget how Flexbox and Grid works, even have to check docs for simple DOM manipulation. But if you don't, I do too. I think you might be reacting to me doing that date. If I don't do it every minute of every day, it just seems to be something that I'm constantly forgetting how to do. So it's totally normal, totally normal. That's why documentation exists. That's why we have to write things down. We only have so much room in our brains for all of this information. So let me see here. Let me get my phone hooked up. Okay. There we go. Yeah, we definitely need to figure out what's going. I need to come up with a plan this week for the padding. But that looks good. The contrast isn't as good when I share my phone on OBS. That's the streaming software. So some of the grays and things like that don't come through. But they are there. I mean, overall, I think this is looking pretty good. I'm very happy with what we just did with our header. I think this looks good. I like this. Our little back to top works. See, here's where it's really nice to have that transform to close the menu, because a normal user experience would be somebody would go to the navigation, click on a link, and a new page would load. So you would never see, a normal user would probably never see that menu close. But in this case, you're scrolling to different parts of the page, so they are closing it. And it's nice to make sure that they're getting that transition. So, yeah, I just need to come up with a plan for how to deal with this extra space. Because there's a lot of padding there for mobile. But I'm very happy with what we just did for the header. Very happy with that. Yeah, that looks great. So next week, we need to get our slider wired up and working. That's no problem. Figure out what I'm gonna do with this padding, which here's honestly what I'm probably going to end up doing. I think a more practical approach to dealing with those anchor points on the page. Let's see here. Collapse this. Oh, and we can change this to section because that has a heading now. The more practical approach is going to be putting a div in between each of these things and then giving the ID and then doing a class of like anchor point. So if everything has an anchor point, then we'll go up here, we'll make it a global style. So anchor point, so all of the anchor points will be position relative, and then top probably, so we'll say -2 rems. Oh, whoops. So the anchor point is right there. Let's do something obnoxious like -5 rems. There, now you can really see it, where you can control where that scroll point is. So I think we'll do that next week. I'm actually pretty happy with what we came up with here today. So that's it. This was actually a pretty good productive day. Thank you to everybody who joined me. No One, Rizzy, Edwin, David from Italy, Monique and Malik were our mods in the chat. Nightbot, of course. Salman. Everybody, thank you so much. I hope that the folks who got memberships are able to join us next week on Tuesday. Of course, I'll be here on next weekend, normal schedule, and I should have a format for code reviews nailed down by next weekend. So really, I just need to type something up. Like I said, I want the code reviews to be very data driven, not subjective, not picking apart designs. Just data driven. What can we learn from things? What do we think they could do better in our humble opinions? And what could we learn from those experiences? So that's that. All right, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. Have a great rest of your week wherever you are. Thank you for joining me today. Do me a favor and like the video if you haven't yet. And if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and subscribe. We would love to have you. We're really nice here. We hang out every Saturday and Sunday. We practice HTML, CSS, and JavaScript because we just like to practice and we just like to get better at things. So thank you, David. Thank you for the great stream. Have a beautiful Sunday. Yes, I will. You too. Italy. Oh, I would love to go to Italy someday. I would love to go to Rome. Absolutely love to. All right, everybody. Have an awesome rest of your day. I will see you next weekend. Bye-bye.